We're recording. I'll do it later. I don't know how to spell well.
Your camera glitching keeps bugging me.
I know.
But I guess it is what it is. We got a new camera. Hi, that's my camera.
Yeah, and then mine, and mine's connected to my tablet, so I think that's part of the problem. I gotta connect it to the back of the computer, then I have one at the front and back, but having them both in the front, I think was overtaxing or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And I didn't feel like pulling the computer all the way out to plug this into the back. I should. I'll have it for next time. Maybe I should even just turn mine off.
Okay, my name's Marty. I don't know if we need to introduce ourselves each time. My name's Marty Rasmussen. I'm an aspiring writer. Bruce is an artist that I work with.
Aspiring artist?
He has way too much talent. Anyway, he's going to be drawing while I'm in our first two podcasts. We basically talked about the stories. In the very first podcast, we talked about Shatteredtime, which is a book I wrote. I began that as 4 novels, and then I turned it into 8 graphic novels. I still want to publish the 4 novels, but because the story has kind of changed. It's the 4 novels are written as a linear story, and it follows one character, and the graphic novel actually starts at the end of the 4 novels and kind of tells the story backwards. Anyway, so in this episode, we wanted to. I was going to actually read a chapter from the first book of Shatteredtime. Just read a chapter. I haven't really edited this or had anybody else edit it for me. So as I read through this, I might find mistakes. I might, need to fix things. So, it should be a fun, fun exercise. But at least this way, I can tell the story and you guys can listen. And so, as I'm reading this, Bruce, as you can see, is already drawing. He's actually drawing from a scene from this first chapter. Anyway, I'll start reading. Chapter 1, The Search. As technology evolves, men worry that technology will destroy them. But I have seen the end of man, and technology is not to be blamed. A young man trudged through the dense and darkening woods, his dirty brown pants torn and wet from the nearby swamp. He followed a faint path running along the base of a snow-capped mountain range. He stumbled, tearing his already filthy shirt on a low-hanging tree branch. He stopped to curse the tree and violently broke the branch, hurling it blindly into the woods, but the throw is so powerfully wild he overbalances and falls and fell to his knees. He overbalanced and fell to his knees. How long must I search? He whimpered to himself, wiping the tears away from his swollen brown eyes. This is crazy. They just don't exist, he said, as he stood up, wiping his tiny, slightly upturned nose and emitting a short sniffle. I don't know what I expected to find. His thin lips quivered as he walked slowly and blindly forward into the darkening woods, trying to stifle the tears that welled up and trickled down his dirt-smudged face. Hours passed, and the sun is now long gone. The young man is slumped at the base of a tree, grasping handfuls of his short brown hair. He has no lantern or food, but he didn't care. He had traveled for 5 days, and his supplies had ran out in the first 2. He closes his eyes and remembers his family and what started this journey. 5 days ago, he stared intently at his mother's body. She fell ill and died of pneumonia. Many people said she had died of a broken heart after losing her husband. Lucius stared and began seeing flashes of his father's dead body. His mind began comparing the two corpses. The skin color looked the same. The vacant eyes were the same. His father's body had a huge chest wound. A swordsman pierced him through the heart from behind. He died never seeing his attacker, and died defending the Duke of Normandy as a loyal bodyguard. His mother's body had no wound, but death still looked the same. Lucius slowly began to hear the voices of the other people in the room. What will happen with the boy? Where will we put him? A nurse asked an older, well-dressed gentleman who had come from the Duke's home, where he had apparently served the Duke in some capacity. The man surveyed the nurse. The man surveyed the nurse and surveyed Lucius for a moment before he answered. He has no living relatives. His father and mother served the Duke. He will continue to serve as best he can. The nurse asked quietly, He is owned by the Duke now? Lucius now stared at the two people who were speaking about him. They stopped. They stopped speaking after they noticed him staring. After they noticed him staring, see, this is another, I need to put an apostrophe or a comma here, averted their eyes down toward the floor and headed out of the room. After his mother's funeral, he packed a few items and left his home, heading for the mountains, heading toward the legends and stories he had heard as a child, hoping to find the godlike power he needed. But now, under a tree in the darkening woods, he slipped into a deep sleep. He awakened at the sound of voices in the darkness, feeling as though something heavy was pressing him to the ground. As he opened his eyes, the dim light of the moon revealed the source of the weight. He was covered up to his neck by a mound of dirt. How can this be, he wondered to himself, as he struggled against the crushing weight of the earth pile. He quickly scanned around in the darkness, trying to find the voice he heard. Mikno, a voice cried into the night. He turned his head to find the owner of the voice, a tall, thin man standing a few feet away under a tree. The moonlight glittered off the man's long, platinum blonde, braided hair, and the metal chain armor he wore shimmered in the darkness as he moved. The stranger moved closer, staring down at the face of the boy covered in earth. The boy stared at the face of his attacker, a pearly white face with the left half painted dark green. His eyes shined in the darkness as he approached the struggling boy. Stay away! Help! Someone help! The boy screamed, but his screams are stifled as the dirt mound covering him suddenly slid upwards, covering his mouth and filling it with dirt. How does the earth move as if it is alive? Is he trying to suffocate me? Why didn't he cover my nose? The blond man gave a little smile and spoke to him in a language he couldn't understand. I still don't know whether I want to put that language in there or not.
The Elven?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. He moved out of the boy's field of vision.
Have you created your Elven?
Well, I didn't create shit. I just made up some words that sounded good. Anyway. He moved out of the boy's field of vision. The last thing visible was the man's bare feet. The boy pondered what language he had just heard. Excuse me. And if his search was finally over. The stories he had heard told of them wearing no shoes. A light from a flame suddenly appeared in the woods. A lantern carried by another unknown man moved towards Lucius. Is he attacking? I'm still alive, Lucius pondered as the figure approached. The light grew brighter, and the man appeared over him holding a lantern, wearing a black robe with a hood that hid his face. He stopped. He stooped over and placed the lantern near the boy's face. I'm dead. This is death, the boy concluded, and he began a silent prayer. The hooded man stood upright, pulled the hood back off of his head. The light from the lantern fell upon his pearly white face. But his face wasn't painted like the other man's, and it looked friendly when he smiled and began to speak. Far away from home, are we? He asked, staring down at the boy. And so, that scene that I just read, I think that's what Bruce is trying to draw here.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that. What I'm trying to do, I'm just changing up a little bit with the idea of maybe him like sitting on a rock. Like he was sitting on this rock and the boy kind of interrupted him, type of thing. But and then he's got his little pipe and he's pointing it at him. Yeah, what's it? He said something to him. I can't remember. But
far away from home.
Yeah, far away from home. Are we?
Huh? Lucius answered confused. The earth mound on the boy began to move again, shuffling down towards his toes, and the dirt underneath him began to rise and form into a chair. The boy finds himself sitting in a dirt chair facing the robed stranger in disbelief. I'm alive. He looks friendly. The boy jerked around in his newly formed earthen chair. He scanned the woods for others. When he was satisfied there are none, he tried to speak. Was all the boy could say as he spat mud from his mouth. Let us start with an introduction, the robed man said, and another dirt chair rose from the ground. My name is Micknow, he said, sitting down in the newly formed chair. What is yours? The boy slowly closed his wide open mouth, swallowed, then answered. My name is Lucius, he said shyly as he stared at Micknow's glassy smooth skin and sharp angular features. Ah, Lucius, what brings you out so far into the woods? Micknow asked, crossing his bare feet. Sir, well, if you are what I think you are, you did, Lucius exclaimed, staring at Micknow's bare feet. Puzzled, Micknow asked, what is it you think I am? Lucius replied, well, I haven't seen your ears yet, but I'm pretty sure you're an elf. Lucius replied, shifting forward in his chair to get a better look at Micknow's ears. Micknow began to laugh. His laugh was genuine and unpracticed. What is so funny? You are an elf, aren't you? Lucius asked, confused by the reaction. Forgive me, Lucius. I have been following you for quite some time. I was wondering what you were searching for. I wondered if you were going to die. Micknow paused, staring at Lucius' skinny frame. Looks like I barely found you before you could starve. I was looking for a way to save you. I wanted to help you find what you were looking for. Now I find you are looking for me. Micknow laughed at the irony. So if you traveled for 5 days just to see my ears, I guess I'd better oblige. Micknow exclaimed as he pulled his long blonde hair back, revealing a set of pointy elven ears. No, I mean I didn't come here just for your ears, Lucius responded, sitting up a little taller in his dirt chair. I came here to get your help. My help? Mcno asked inquisitively, letting go of his platinum strands. Yes, I need you to use your magic to bring back my mother. Back? Back from where? Mcno responded. The question angered Lucius. He had heard stories of elves. He had heard that they were helpful magical creatures and nothing was impossible for them. They knew all and could see all. No one had ever shown him any proof, but he believed in a way a child would. I thought you would know already, Lucius stated. How can I know? I have just met you, Mcno replied. My mom died, Lucius said, staring down at the dirt. Tears welled up in his eyes. Well, you've come to the wrong place. In fact, I know of no one that can bring back the dead, Mcno replied, standing from his chair, which began to sink back into the earth. But I've seen magicians cut people in half and put them back together, and they said they were trained by magical elves, Lucius stated in protest. That was merely an illusion. I have trained many magic users, Mcno continued. I have never taught such a thing, and I have never seen a human magic student. You can do magic, though. I'm sitting in a chair you made with it, Lucius argued, staring down at the dirt chair he was sitting in. Yes, that is magic. It is not an illusion or cheap trick, Mcno continued. Magic is communicating with the elements. I simply ask the earth to move, and it does. So you can ask the earth to give my mom back, Lucius retorted triumphantly. The earth doesn't have your mother's energy or spirit in its possession, Mcno continued. I can't ask the earth for what it doesn't have. Farewell, Lucius, Mcno concluded as he rose from his chair. Wait, where are you going? What do I do now? Lucius asked as tears poured onto his chest. I've searched for you, and this is what I find, he screamed as he put his face into his hands and began to cry. You were searching for a dream. It is time for you to face reality. Go home, Mcno said, as he placed his hand on the boy's head. I have no home. My dream is all I had, Lucius cried. You have no one to care for you at home? Mcno asked as he stared intently at the boy, anticipating the answer. If I go back there, I will live as a servant. With no mother or father, I become property. I'll stay here in the woods, Lucius concluded. But you will die without food, Mcno retorted. What do you care? What do you want from life, Lucius? I want my parents back, Lucius screamed, tossing his head back and staring skyward as he covers his face with his hands and continues to blubber into them. Is self-pity all that you want? Lucius removes his hands from his face. His sadness quickly turns to anger. No, but it is what I have. It is the one thing that I have a lot of. Is there anything else? The question reminded Lucius of his father. His father was hardly ever home, but when he was, he would constantly try to teach Lucius some life lesson. Lucius didn't want to hear the advice from a person he saw once in a great while. Now he wanted to hear this even less. I would settle for peace and quiet. I can wait here till I join my family. Is that the way you would honor their memory? What would you suggest I do? Fight the world? I would have saved my mother and father if I could. I searched for you so I could bring them back. Now I'm here, but you can give me nothing. I never said I had nothing to offer. I can give you many things, but you have to ask. What would I ask for? I don't believe gold will solve my problems. that all you're capable of? I don't have any gold to give, and it is not what I offer. What else is there? How about guidance and meaning? Meaning? Lucius asks, fighting back the tears as he stares into McNo's radiant blue eyes. He had heard his father and mother talk about the meaning of life, but they never gave him any answer. His father once told him that life is the search for meaning. Without it, a person felt useless and would be no good to anyone. That's how Lucius felt now, no good to anyone. Yes, Lucius, your life needs guidance and meaning. I teach at a school that teaches both, Migno says, helping Lucius to his feet. School? Lucius asks in a loathing voice. My father didn't believe in schools. Ah, well, this school will give you a home, and that is what you need, Migno says as he leads Lucius into a little walk. Now I offer you a chance to see a world rarely seen by humans. The other choice is to go back to your home and live the rest of your life, of your normal life. Lucius feels relieved almost immediately. He has wandered into the woods searching. He searched for a way to bring his mother back, but what he was really searching for was the return of his home. He knew that his mother would never be returned, but now he felt reassured that he would have a home. What do you teach at this school? I don't need a lot of lessons I can never use in real life. We will teach you the elements. You mean magic? He asked, hoping and waiting for a positive answer. He couldn't think of anything he wanted to do more. Yes, you would learn magic, but you would also learn confidence. Okay, I'll come see this school of yours, Lucius replied triumphantly. You are truly a wise young man, Migno says with a smile. Shall we go? He gestures to the warrior elf standing nearby. I'm ready, Lucius says, watching the elven warrior move away through the trees. Where's he going? He is making sure that the way is secure. That is his purpose. He is a guardian of our people. Does he speak English? Lucius asks as he begins following Migno into the woods. No, I'm afraid not. Learning our language would be a necessity for you. Migno replies, looking down at the happier but still filthy boy walking beside him. I see, Lucius says, disappointed. He looks up at Migno and asks, why don't you wear shoes? Migno laughs. There are a lot of questions I would rather answer in school, so please, no more questions, Migno says, increasing his walking speed. I'm sorry, Lucius replies, but immediately asks his next questions. Hey, why aren't we taking the lamp? I can't see. The lamp was provided by me so you could see me when we were talking. Now you can see me good enough to follow. Believe me when I tell you, I can see fine, Migno says as he moves between the two trees. Lucius stumbles over a tree. Whoops, I lost my place there. Lucius stumbles over a tree root sticking out of the ground and between the trees. Well, that's good for you, he says sarcastically. Migno looks back, gives him a smile, and continues walking. How did you do that thing with the dirt chairs? How far is it to your land? How many people live there? Why hasn't anyone ever seen it? Lucius asks all these questions so fast, they seem to run together. Lucius, are all humans as impatient as you? Impatient? Lucius says offended. I don't think I'm impatient. Elves don't ever ask questions where you're from. Lucius questions Migno. Since we live so long, we usually just wait for the answer, Migno says, pulling his hood up over his head. I guess I'll have to get used to questions. Lucius walks quietly beside Migno for a short while and then says impulsively, So? So what? Migno replies. So how did you do that thing with the dirt? Migno rolls his eyes and continues to walk. Lucius thinks to himself, well, if we're not going to talk, this trip sure will be long and boring. They continue walking in silence for a short period of time, until the silence gets the better of Lucius. How old are you, Migno? I am 250 years old. How old are you, my young friend? Up ahead, the warrior starts ascending a hill leading up to the mountains. I'm only 12, Lucius replies, staring in newfound amazement at Migno. How long do elves usually live? Well, the lucky ones live to about 310. Wow, so you're old for an elf, huh? Lucius asks without thinking. Yes, I suppose I am, Migno says as he starts ascending the hill leading towards the mountain. Lucius notices they are heading straight towards the mountain. Are we climbing the mountain? Lucius asks, fighting the urge to grab hold of the nearest tree. He's always been scared of heights, having once fallen off a small embankment into a river. The drop wasn't very far at the time, but at his age made it seem a lot farther. He was pulled to safety. He was pulled to safety, but has remained frightened ever since. Migno can see the fear in his eyes. No, we aren't climbing the mountain, Lucius. Please don't worry. Good, I don't like high places that much, Lucius explains with a sound of relief in his voice. Up ahead, the warrior elf has come to a stop on a small hilltop, waiting for Migno and Lucius to catch up. They join the warrior at the top of the hill. It is free of trees, and Lucius can see over the top of the forest, far away in the distance. He can see the twinkle of the campfires and lanterns of his old hometown of Bayo. He heaves a heavy sigh and turns his back on his world. The warrior says something in Migno in the Elven language. Do you think he'll be able to handle this? Migno responds in the Elven language. I don't believe we have a choice. It's the only way. Migno looks at Lucius, and the warrior starts to giggle. Migno chokes back his desire to join in the laughter. Not wanting to scare Lucius, he tries to make his voice sound flat and emotionless when he asks his next question. Are you ready for the next part of the journey? When you ask like that, I'm not sure, Lucius says, forcing a smile onto his face. The ground beneath them begins to shake, and the earth sinks beneath their feet. Slowly, the three of them sink into the ground. Migno and the warrior show no signs of fear or surprise. Lucius looks at them, trying to act as if nothing is wrong. But when he sinks past his knees, terror takes control of his mind. How will I breathe? How far down are we going? Will I be crushed? He begins to struggle against the dirt, trying to swim out of the hole. The dirt covers him all the way up to his neck before he goes completely under. He hears Migno's voice shouting, Relax, Lucius. It'll soon be over. Lucius didn't know if that was words of encouragement or not. He didn't like the way it sounded, especially since he was now buried completely by dirt. He is able to move and breathe, and he finds he is in a pocket of air, an underground cave that moves. Lucius feels like he is moving down and forward. He turns around in his small cave, feeling around in the darkness for some sign of escape. All he can feel is dirt and rocks that move as if they were alive. Light suddenly floods into Lucius's cave as the dirt stops moving forward. The momentum carries him forward, and he stumbles, falling and landing with a thud on a man-made stone floor. His eyes focus on the light, and he can see two pairs of bare feet in front of him. "Are you all right, Lucius?" asks Micnow's voice. Lucius looks up to see Micnow and the warrior elf standing over him. "Oh, I'm great," he replies sarcastically, spitting out some of the dirt he unintentionally swallowed. The warrior and Micnow laugh as Lucius stands up, brushing the dirt from his clothing and out of his hair. "Why aren't you guys covered with dirt, huh?" Lucius asks, still spitting out dirt. "Experience is the only answer I can give," Micnow replies, chuckling. The warrior turns and starts to walk away from the two of them down the large arched tunnel. Lucius can see down it real well since it is lit with torches placed every 20 feet on both sides. Micnow follows the warrior down the tunnel. Lucius shakes off the rest of the dirt the best he can and follows Micnow. He looks around as he follows, noticing side tunnels about every 100 yards. He is unable to see where they lead, and he has no time to go exploring. But he doesn't want to lose sight of Micnow. "Where do those tunnels lead to?" Lucius asks as he jogs to catch up with him. "Well, some lead to a dirt wall like the one you just came from. That one leads to the Dwarven Kingdom, and the others lead to a quick death." "Don't go into the tunnels, I got it," Lucius thinks to himself. Lucius nods his head and stares forward as they follow the elven warrior. The tunnel widens ahead, and banners written in Elven are decorating the walls. The Elven language is a series of symbols similar to some of the Asian writing he had seen when traders visited Bayo. Further ahead, Lucius can see the light of the moon flooding into the tunnel. "They are welcome signs," Micnow says to Lucius. "I thought I would answer your question before you asked," he adds with a smirk. "I wasn't going to ask," Lucius responds. "Yes, I was," he thinks, looking back around at all the banners decorating the wall. "That one seems to be in another language," he says, pointing at one of the banners. Micnow smiles and responds, "You are correct. That is Dwarven." They continue towards the moonlight, and Lucius hears the sound of voices laughing and talking jovially. The Elven warrior reaches the opening first. As he arrives, two more Elven warriors, dressed in the same shimmering chainmail, painted with green face paint, step out from the left side of the tunnel opening. Each holds a long spear with a metal spear tip. They smile at each other as the warrior that led the way here points at Lucius and then turns to continue talking. As Lucius and Micnow reach the opening, Lucius looks intently around. Staring skyward, you can see he is in a hollow mountain that rises skyward for miles. At the top there is an opening, like a great volcano. In front of him, the mountain houses an underground forest, but this forest is denser than the one he's just spent 5 days in. To his right, you can see the source of the jovial laughter. He is standing next to some sort of tavern, a 2-story structure made from very old, almost rotten-looking wood. He wonders how the building manages to stay standing. Turning back to the right, he sees the 3 warriors still talking and staring at him. They are standing by a 3-story brick building. He scans upwards toward the top of the building and can see another warrior standing guard with a crossbow on the roof. The road he is traveling on continues into the dense woods. "Where to now?" Lucius asks, turning to face Micnow. "Our journey follows this road, but we shall stop to refresh here," Micnow answers, pointing to the tavern door. "Come, you must be hungry." Lucius couldn't agree more. He hasn't eaten for 2 days. When he was in the forest, he wasn't able to find He was able to find water. He had little luck finding food. "Is he coming with us?" Lucius asked, pointing back to the warrior elf, who was now laughing with the other elven guards. They are laughing at me, Lucius believes as he stares toward the ground and embarrassed. "This way, Lucius," Migno announces. The tavern noise grows louder as they approach. Lucius can see people moving inside through 1,000 little knotholes and a wide cracks between the severely aged wood that make up the outside walls of the tavern. The tavern has no windows on the first floor, but he was sure that they got plenty of fresh air. Migno opens the old patched-together door. And that concludes chapter 1.
That's the end of chapter 1?
Yep. Chapter 2 is called The Tavern.
Well, that was 36 minutes.
It's not my fault, man. 36 minutes. But who's counting?
Who's counting?
Do you want me to read chapter 2?
Sure.
So that's Migno sitting on a dirt chair?
No. Just him sitting on a rock.
Why would he be sitting on a rock when he can make a chair?
Because it looks better.
Doesn't look better. Chairs are comfortable. Okay.
Not in Asian society.
Yeah. Chapter 2.
I had this book where these Westerners come meet these samurai, and the Westerners pull out their chairs, and the samurai sits in it too, and he complains that he can feel his bowels squishing all together, sitting in the chair.
Well, yeah, but being that I studied Aikido, I've actually sat seiza, which is the way that they sit Japanese style. You're basically kneel down on your knees.
Yeah.
And you sit on your legs. That's uncomfortable as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you would get used to it if you did it all the time, but
I suppose.
I
don't know.
I never got used to it. And one of the problems I always had is I've always been fairly muscular because when I was in high school, I used to lift, bodybuild.
I was like large, large.
But when I did Aikido, being flexible is important to it, and my calves are so damn big that when it came to try and sit on my feet, basically is what you're doing, I just couldn't do it.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. My brother does strength training, and stuff like that is like people that lift. They don't do cardio. They don't. So.
Well, I think the worst part.
We don't sit in those positions.
Well, I think the worst part is people that lift. They don't stretch as much as they should.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would love to be more flexible than I am, but I'm not. Anyway, so chapter 2, continuing on. Chapter 2, The Tavern. Irony seems to guide my life. I hate this person. His life seems blessed. He has all that I had wished for as a child. I hunger to kill him, but I would be cutting my own throat. McNell holds the tavern door open so Lucius can proceed through. The room was filled by the sounds of rhythmic percussion music.
I almost wonder if you should add, sorry, like Len chapter, or Len, like
What, those sayings?
chapter 10 verse 3, you know, or something, you know what I mean?
No,
But like,
because
I know,
the idea was
I know that was Len,
yes,
but I don't know if anybody else knows, you know what I mean?
no, and they shouldn't know until the end of the book. That's what the whole thing was, you know. Anyway, McNell holds the tavern door open and so Lucius can proceed through. The room was filled with the sound of rhythmic percussion music pounded out by a hulking ogre on a stage in the middle of the room. Ogres live deep in the earth. They are very large in stature, have a greenish hue to their skin, and live in primitive tribes. What is that? Lucius wonders, staring at the ogre. He doesn't need to ask a question because somehow, perhaps through the legends and stories, he just knows. It must be an ogre. The stage is made from a cut section of a giant tree, and the ogre is playing an instrument similar to a xylophone. But this xylophone is made from the hollow fangs of a massive snake. Each tooth is a different length, and each makes a different noise when struck by the small clubs the ogre holds in each of his enormous hands. Lucius stares, awestruck by the gigantic entertainer. He must be 17 feet tall, he declares with a gasp. Ah, yes, that is Bogreet. He entertains and keeps the peace, McNell whispers, bending down close to Lucius's ear. McNell surveys the room, looking for a place to sit. He spots 2 empty seats at the bar. He taps Lucius on the shoulder to get his attention and points to 2 empty stools. He leads the way as the floorboards creak and sag. Lucius pulls his attention away from Bogreet and looks over the room. The building is a 2-story structure. A staircase is located to the right of the front door as you walk in. The banister is made from a gnarly-looking vines that have been cleaned and polished. The center of the room is open, allowing for a view up to the second-floor balcony. On the second floor, rooms are visible. In front of each room is a scantily dressed female, each a different race and size. There are 5 rooms and 5 different dancers. Turning around in the center of the room, Lucius makes an educated guess on what race they are. The first room is an elven woman. She has straight platinum blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She has the usual pearl-colored porcelain features of an elf and is very petite. Her dress is a lacy black and cut high to show off her long legs. The second woman, a dwarf, has red hair, worn in braids, but is about 4 foot tall. Her yellow eyes can be clearly seen even at this distance. She has a broad dwarfish nose, thin lips, and is wearing a tight one-piece sleeveless dress, cut low to show her abundant cleavage. Blah. The third is a human woman with black hair, cut short like a man's flat top, light, smooth skin, full lips, and a dainty nose. She has a curvy frame like the small frame of an elf. She wears a leather piece of cloth tied around her chest as a top and a small piece of leather wrapped around her waist as a skirt. The fourth woman is obviously an ogre. She is a gigantic woman standing about 6 foot tall, with slightly greenish skin, bald head, and big fat lips painted a dark blood red. She is wearing a monstrous, loose-fitting, flower-patterned dress to cover her enormous frame. The last dancer is a really small female who looks like a 3 to 5 year old human girl. She's about 3 feet tall, wears her black hair and wears her black hair in pigtails. She's wearing a baby doll dress and has an innocent face, making her look like a child playing dress-up. Isn't she a little young to be dancing here? Lucius questions Mikno as he stares at the little girl. Mikno smiles and responds as he pulls his hood back, revealing his face. She's actually older than you. She's a halfling. On the first floor, 5 round tables are arranged around the outside of the room to allow patrons a better view of the dancers and votary. The tables are constructed with the same cheap-looking wood the tavern is made from. Candles from the polished vine chandelier barely breaks through the thick smoke lingering around the ceiling. A voluptuous elven woman is tending the bar. She's located at the rear of the tavern. Mikno sits down at the empty vine-legged stool and waves to her. Lucius takes his seat and turns his attention back to Bogri. The lady bartender approaches. Her platinum blonde hair is worn up in a bun. She has typical pearly white elven skin, but her impressive green eyes and human female face paint make her stand out in this diverse crowd. She has rings on each finger and a multitude of earrings in each ear. A large ruby necklace hangs down to her ample cleavage, and her red dress hugs her unusually curvy elven body. Mikno begins speaking to her in an elven dialect. "You are looking extremely lovely this evening, Jessie," he declares politely as he kisses her outstretched hand. "Oh, Mikno, you always know what to say to brighten my evening," Jessie responds, her voice never breaking, fluctuating, or hesitating. It sounds like a melody. "So who's your new friend? Is he the one that took you out into the woods?" she asks, glancing towards Lucius, who is now staring at both of them, trying to decipher what they are saying. "I am taking him on as a new student," Mikno says, still holding on to Jessie's hand. "He's human, correct?" Mikno places Jessie's hand on the bar and starts speaking in a more serious tone. Yes, he is. But he has no family, so I don't need to worry about other humans looking for him. I believe him to be an open-minded individual. He's not like the other humans." "Calm down, Mickey. It's me. I don't care where he's from or what he is. I just wanted to make sure." Jessie turns to Lucius and begins to speak to him in English. "Hi, my name is Jessie," she says, holding out her hand to Lucius. Lucius looks surprised and shakes her hand and responds shyly, "I'm Lucius." "Hi, Lucius. Whatever you need, I can get for you. Just ask for Jessie. So are you hungry, thirsty, or do you desire something sweeter?" She responds, her voice sounding like a perfectly played musical instrument. Lucius is instantly relaxed and happier as he listens to the soothing sound of her voice. "I'm hungry, mostly," he responds, unable to stop staring into this woman's deep green eyes. "Whatever he wants, I will pay for," Mikno declares to Jessie, speaking loudly. "You act like this is my first time meeting one of your students," Jessie replies sarcastically to Mikno. Jessie turns back to Lucius. "We have a really good mutton stew tonight. Would you like that?" "I would eat anything right now. It sounds great." Lucius responds, smiling goofily at Jessie. Jessie looks over the top of Lucius's head and shouts to someone across the room. "Izzy!" Jessie's voice resonates through the room like a beautiful song. It can even be heard over the rhythmic music Beaugry keeps banging out. Across the room, an elven girl looks up from the table she is cleaning. Her green eyes clearly distinguish her as Jessie's daughter, except for the fact that she is as skinny as the vine legs on the bar stool. Except for the fact that she's as skinny as the vine legs on the bar stools. She looks like a younger version of Jessie. She's wearing a white, low-cut half shirt and a fluffy black skirt that poofs out, giving her some illusion of shape. She stops cleaning the table, drops her cleaning rag, and tries in vain to pull down her half shirt. She sweeps her hair back so it is resting behind her pointy ears and proceeds to the bar. Before Izzy arrives, Jessie begins her introductions. "I would like you to meet my daughter, Izzy," she says, pointing at the approaching elven servant. The elven girl stands before them, staring impatiently at her mother. "What?" she says with a rude squeak, her voice bearing no resemblance to her mother's. It has an annoying nasal quality. Jessie glances towards Lucius, smiling awkwardly, and then back at her daughter. "Would you like to take Lucius's food order and serve him?" Izzy stares blankly at Lucius. In Elven, she asks, "What do you want?" Lucius studies Izzy, not knowing if he should be offended or not. He then glances around to McNo and Jessie. "He doesn't speak Elven, Izzy. Speak to him in English," Jessie says, staring angrily at her daughter. Izzy stares back at her mother with a "how dare you" look on her face. She feels as if her mother is trying to show off her daughter's talents the way a person would show off a performing animal. She turns to Lucius, smiles an obviously fake smile, and begins to speak. "What would you like, sir?" she asks in a sarcastic tone. Lucius opens his mouth to answer, not caring about her tone. He just wants to eat and soak up the atmosphere. "He'll have the stew," Jessie declares. "Just go get it," she says, switching to Elven so not to embarrass Lucius further. Izzy storms away toward the kitchen, located on at the side of the bar. She turns to give her mother one last look of hate before entering the kitchen. If there were a door to the kitchen, she would have slammed it. "If you'll excuse me," Jessie says as she walks after her daughter. Lucius sighs and turns around on his stool to survey the room again. 4 of the 5 tables are full of people laughing and having a good time. The room is thick with the smell of sweet pipe tobacco. Table 1 has 5 dwarves seated around it, laughing and talking to one another in a drunken tone. All are drinking from steins bigger than their heads and are shabbily dressed in dirt-covered clothing. Except for one. He seems to be the leader or boss, since he stays somewhat reserved and is dressed in unsoiled clothing. He watches the others with a smile and puffing away on a slightly curved, fat, bold pipe. Table 2 has 4 elves, dressed in purple, colored robes, similar to Migno's robes. Lucius leans close to Migno and asks in a low voice, "Are they students of yours?" "Yes, they are," Migno answers, as he politely waves to the group of purple-robed students. "You can tell by the color of their robes they are high-level students. In fact, they are about to graduate. The graduation ceremony is tomorrow, and they will receive their black robes. Once they have them, they can continue a normal life, but it's the responsibility of all magicians to carry on teaching." Lucius nods his head in acknowledgement and continues to glance across the room. Table 3 has 3 warriors sitting at it, a large muscular human and 2 identical twin dwarves. They are dressed in leather and chain armor and each carry a weapon. The human has a broadsword propped up against the table with a brushed metal helmet resting on the hilt of it. The dwarves have 3 bladed punch daggers sheathed on each leg. These are the preferred weapons of dwarven fighters. When used, the blades will protrude between each finger, giving the fighter sharp metal claws. Dwarves are very aggressive inside fighters and rarely use long stabbing weapons such as spears. The three warriors are talking quietly amongst themselves and pause occasionally to glance around the room. At table 4, two strange-looking women, dressed in clothing made from some kind of woven grass, shift uneasily in their chairs. The clothing is stiff and uncomfortable looking. The women are staring around the room, pointing at the dancers and the other patrons, then turning to each other and whispering. They have long, unkempt hair and dirt-smudged faces. If they were not so unclean, they might even be pretty, Lucius thinks to himself. Who are those strange women, he asked Migno. Migno stares at the women, who are now glaring intently back at him. Those women are wood watchers. They are self-declared protectors of the world's environment. They use their internal magic and energy to shapeshift into different animal forms. They don't like elemental magic because they believe it is the rape of the environment. Migno turns his back on the women. I believe them to be nothing more than hypocrites. They studied and practiced magic, but they were brainwashed by that stupid cult, he says, staring toward the kitchen, looking for Jesse. Where did she go? I need a drink. Lucius keeps an eye on the women. They turn their attention away from Migno and stare at him. The stare sends a cold shiver down his spine. Are you at war with them? Are they violent? Lucius asked, turning around, so he's facing the same way as Migno. Migno continues to look towards the kitchen, and when he sees Jesse appear in the doorway, he turns back to Lucius and answers, No, so far they just bother the king. They're trying to get him to shut down the school. Lucius nods and looks over his shoulder at the wood watchers, who are now staring at the elven students at the next table. Jessie saunters her way over to Migno and Lucius. I apologize for my daughter. She will be bringing your food shortly, she says with the same pleasant musical voice. Now what can I get you to drink? Krasky for me, Migno responds in Elven, looking frustrated and annoyed. What are those things doing in here? He asks in Elven, looking over at the wood watcher. Mickey, we are supposed to be the elves that are open-minded. We can't be selective all of a sudden. So far they aren't violent. They're paying customers. Remember, if it harms no one, it should be accepted. Live and let live. Jesse responds. So what will you have to drink? Jesse asks, Lucius turning her attention away from the gun. I don't know. What do you have to drink? I'm not sure. Would you like to try something, Elvin? It would be a new experience for you. Lucius pauses, thinking about it, and then responds, Sure, surprise me. Jesse grabs a bottle off the shelf on the wall, places a small glass in front of Migno, and pours in a thick green liquid. After she finishes pouring, she leaves him the bottle. And for you, our house special brew, Josie says, looking at Lucius. She grabs a giant stein and starts filling it with from a large wooden keg mounted on the wall. The liquid is a dark black color. She places it in front of Lucius and waits. He stares at the bubbling liquid in a huge metal stein. He looks up at Jessie, who is still smiling and waiting. He returns her smile, takes a deep breath, and with a quick grab and heave, he heaves the stein to his lips. The liquid is very sweet, tasting like caramel, and the bubbles tickle his nose. He takes another healthy swig and puts the stein down. That's really good, he exclaims, smiling up at Jessie. A very old family recipe. They call it Jessie. Izzy comes out from the kitchen carrying a big wooden tray with a steaming pottery bowl on it and places it in front of Lucius. Next to the bowl is on the wooden tray is a small loaf of bread and a hefty-sized metal spoon. Lucius smiles at Izzy and then to Jesse and begins to eat in great haste. Mick has finished his first glass of the green liquid he called Krasky and is pouring himself another. Izzy walks back to the dirty table and begins to clean. Mick takes a swig from his second drink and then begins to talk to Jesse. I think he might be my finest student, he says, looking at Jesse. Many of these elves learn magic because it's expected. Their family forces it on them. But he wants to learn, and he actually asks questions. At first I was annoyed by the questions. Now I can see it will be his biggest advantage. That may be true, but you sure you're doing the best for him? He won't have many friends, and he doesn't even speak our language, Jesse says, pretending to wipe the bar so Lucius will not know that he's being the subject of a conversation. Mick takes another big swallow of the green liquid and begins to speak. I'm glad you brought that up. I need someone to teach him to speak Elven. I will be busy with my students at the school, and the only trustworthy people I know work here. Oh, is that all? Don't you want my bar too? Now that you mention it, I do need more favors. I'm going to show him to school tomorrow. I don't want him to start till he knows how to speak Elven. I need a place to keep him till I can get approval from the king. You want me to keep him here? This isn't an inn. It's a brothel. If I remember correctly, humans have different moral standards than we do. What if he doesn't like sleeping in a place where the walls shake all night? Jessie asked, placing her hands on her hips. Listen, Jessie, I followed this kid for 5 days. He was going to die if I didn't help him. He has nowhere to go, and I need your help. I can't do this by myself. Jessie sighs and glances at Lucius, who is now tearing a hunk of bread off the loaf and dunking it into a stew. Okay, I'll find him a tutor and a place to sleep, but you owe me. This is our big chance, Jessie. We can finally show an outsider the real beauty of our people. Once they understand us, we won't have to live in secret any longer. Can you imagine a world where we live with humans again? Mick asked Jessie as he stared fondly at Lucius. I remember the last time we tried to live with humans. The bigger the groups of humans, the smaller their brain is. I don't want to see any more rampaging crowds of humans with torches. Almost didn't survive the last one, Jessie says as she picks up the stein and wipes it out. Those people were scared. I've always said that we need to promote understanding between our people, Mick declares, finishing off his second glass. Well, like I said, I'll help you, Jessie continues. Let's just be careful. Lucius finishes his bowl of stew and downs his stein of Jezio. That was great. I really needed that, he exclaims politely, silencing a belch. Jessie and Mick are both smiling at Lucius, who's wearing the foam from the L as a mustache. Would you like any more? Mick asks with a smile. I don't want to wear out my welcome. Well, that will never happen here. You can consider this your new home. In fact, that's just what Mick and I have been discussing. He says you need to learn Elven, the language and the culture. This might not be the ideal place to teach proper Elven culture, but we can give you a head start, Jessie says, with a smile. I thought I was staying at school, Lucius responded, looking at Migno confused. We need to teach you how to speak so you can participate better in the class. The training doesn't just come from me, it comes from interaction with the other students. If you can't practice with others, you will never be able to improve, Migno says, placing his hand on Lucius's shoulder. Are we still going to see it? Are we still going to go see it? Yes, Lucius, but not tonight. But not tonight. The woods here are much too dangerous at night, especially for someone who has never seen them. I think you need rest. Rest, Migno answers. You two will stay out back at my house, and in the morning get a fresh start. Now, can I get anyone dessert? Jesse asked. Lucius pauses for a moment, looks around the room, then at Migno. Okay, I still want to stay, he says. He turns to Jesse. What do you have for dessert? Across the room, Izzy finishes cleaning her table and exits through the kitchen. Bogreet finishes his musical number, and everyone except for the woodwatchers applauds. As the dancers retire to the rooms behind them, Bogreet walks with a shuffling limp over to where Migno and Lucius are sitting. He is wearing a plaid skirt, which hangs to his knees, and nothing else. Lucius watches as Bogreet approaches, and when he is in front of him, Lucius is practically staring straight up at the roof to see Bogreet's face. Bogreet stares down at Lucius and then to Migno. You sure do know how to make an entrance, Migno. People all stared at you and your new friend. So, is he some kind of pet? Bogreet asks in Elven jokingly as he slaps Migno playfully on the back. Bogreet's hand covers Migno's entire back. Migno catches himself before he can fall all the way off the stool. Bogreet, this boy will be living here and will be your responsibility, Jesse says, glaring at Bogreet from behind the bar. Bogreet stares at the floor ashamed. I'm sorry, he responds in a deep, low voice. The boy doesn't speak Elven yet. Someone will be teaching him. He will be his guard in here and outside, Jesse says sternly. Well, what? How am I supposed to talk to him? You have nothing to say to him. I don't think he needs to hear any of your stories. They would only frighten him away, Migno interjects before Jesse can answer. Lucius glances from person to person trying to figure out what they were saying, because he is pretty sure the subject, he is pretty sure he is the subject. Migno notices Lucius stares and decides to include him in the conversation. Lucius, I'm sorry. This is Bogreet, he announces, pointing up at Bogreet. Lucius stares up, swallows the lump in his throat, and says, Hello, Bogreet. Bogreet stares down at Lucius, slightly confused. He looks around to Migno and Jesse. Jesse, sensing Bogreet's confusion, says, Just say hi, Lucius. Bogreet stares down at Lucius and struggles to form the words. Hi. Everybody smiles and Bogreet knows he has said it right. Bogreet continues. Hi, Lucius. Lucius smiles up at Bogreet and he begins to giggle in a deep rumble, and his greenish skin turns slightly red. Very well done, Bogreet, Jesse says, making him blush even more. Across the room, shouts of anger snap Bogreet to attention. The purple-robed students are yelling at the woodwatchers who are standing up in their chairs. They look as if they were about to jump at the students, Lucius observes. How strange for two small women to be attacking four young, healthy men, he concludes. The woodwatchers leap at the students. As they fly through the air, they grow to twice their size, tearing their straw clothing apart. Hair grows rapidly, covering their body, and soon They are two large brown bears. Purple-robed students scatter. Their chairs fly out of the way from behind them. The bears land on the table, crushing it like matchsticks. One bear swipes a mighty paw, connecting with a student, sending him crashing through the front door. The other bear jumps to pounce on another student, but stops frozen in midair. The air in the tavern swirls like a tornado, forming a funnel directly under the bear, suspending it in the air. The tornado swirls the bear in a circle, propelling him across the room and crashing into the dwarven miner's table. Bogreed is in the middle of the fight before Lucius even realizes he left. Bogreed grabs the still-standing bear by the scruff of the neck and, using only one arm, pulls it into a standing position. He wraps his arm around the waist of the bear, pulling it off the ground. He squeezes tightly as the bear roars in pain and slumps in his arms, and Bogreed now holds an unconscious naked woman, a woodwatcher, in his arms. The other bear is back on his feet amongst the scattered dwarves. The other bear is back on his feet among the scattered dwarves who scramble to get away. He begins another charge at the students, but Bogreed steps in front of them, holding an unconscious naked woodwatcher, and it comes to a stop, angrily snorts, and transforms back into an elven female. Bogreed points towards the front door, and the woman slowly walks out the door. Once she is outside, Bogreed tosses her companion onto the ground in front of her. She helps her friend to her feet, keeping one eye always on Bogreed. Once they are both standing, they turn around, leap into the air, and as they leave the ground, they change into the form of the giant hawks and fly away. Good riddance, Mikno says as they fly away. Mickey, your prejudice is showing again, Josie says with a smile, as she comes to the front of the bar. Damn, I have to fix that door again and get new tables, she says, staring through the front door. As the customers start to leave the tavern, Josie thanks them and apologizes for the unpleasant scene. She gathers up two pieces of the door and gives them to Bogreed, who begins to patch them together at an empty table. Never a dull moment, Josie, Mikno announces as he pulls some gold coin from his inside pocket of his robes and hands them to her. I guess we'll retire also, he says, looking at Lucius, who is still in shock from what happened. Lucius slowly stands and follows Mikno through the empty tavern toward the kitchen. I'll be out there in a little while, Josie announces to them as they reach the kitchen. That was chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Yep. Yay.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy. So, how's your picture going? Nice pants.
There you go.
I think your rock turned into a chair.
Yeah, that. I don't know how I was going to do it first, but maybe that works with some. Make it look like grass. Like he.
Looks like a chair. Your son sounds happy.
Yeah, he has started tantrums. He's learned how to walk away from us and kneel softly down to the ground and lay down and look at us. And get all upset. Yeah. When we tell him no, he can't have something.
Does it work?
What, the tantrum or telling him no?
The tantrum.
No.
Well, but I guess he won't do that for very long.
Hopefully. Maybe I'll make the seagrass too, huh? So then, well, I was just thinking about what you've been reading about. And
it's almost like a book.
Almost. I mean, it's close, but usually you can tell what's going on in a book. Huh?
Yeah. It's like a book or something.
I guess I don't remember. Well, I guess I haven't got that part yet.
What? The fight in the tavern, or what?
No, not. I've done that, and I've done the part where he goes to talk to the king.
Yeah.
I guess I was like, I just haven't got the part where it jumps in time to where I'm assuming we just jump and Lucius has been taught how to speak and he's at school and
yeah, I mean,
goes through his trials.
I kind of jump forward in time. You know, I don't show a whole lot of that. I mean, I try to show, you know, stuff that I think is cool. You know, like the elves at that time were actually a little bit more technologically advanced because they actually had a form of running water, which they hadn't even invented plumbing. I mean, they kind of invented plumbing. The humans did, but not the running water part. Anyway, but anyway, so
Right.
but yeah, I just trying to show that new world.
I like the part that comes up next where he spoilers, but he takes him up to the tree to get some clothes and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite parts. I really enjoy that.
Yep. And
well, so this
I like the fight.
blow this up a little bit.
Wow, that's pretty damn good. You're a genius. What is it about a pipe that just throws everybody back into Fantasyland? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, what automatically, you know, not just Fantasyland, but like Wizard.
Right.
I guess it'd have to be Gandalf, right? I mean.
Well, yeah, but I mean.
But why?
Because it's, you know, I've seen it in so many different movies and stuff, but I don't know, was it I can't say that it was what the hell is it, Tolkien's. I don't think he was the first one to ever do it.
Probably not.
I think there's just something about a pipe that I guess people might find magical.
Well, you know, so many cultures, they have pipe culture, and it sometimes has to do with the storytellers. And so as they would sit back to tell a story, smoking the pipe, I don't know.
Damn, that makes me wish I could smoke in here, man. Because I have a pipe.
Yeah.
I could sit here and smoke my pipe.
My wife's
And
grandpa smoked pipes. And
well, I have pipe tobacco. I actually just bought a kind of a fancy bag that holds all this stuff, and plus the tobacco itself. And the tobacco package or part actually has a almost like a rubber type lining in it to keep it moist.
Yeah.
But yeah,
what made you decide to?
I've had the pipe forever. But the bag I didn't have. And what I hated is I'd buy tobacco, usually some like peach flavored or something like that. And even in a Ziploc bag, that would still, for some reason, would still dry out.
Still go bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because apparently I don't smoke it enough. So I bought that bag, hoping that it'll last longer than that. And hopefully it will. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of weird. I think if I were to smoke, I would either smoke cigars or pipe. I like sweet pipe.
It definitely tastes better.
And and even cigars, I don't mind the smell. I think it
depends
actually
on the cigar.
I think it actually smells better than a cigarette.
The cheaper and crappier a cigar is, the more it smells, in my opinion. There's some more expensive cigars, where you're getting like $20 for a cigar.
Yeah.
Those things smell so damn good. But yeah, pipe tobacco smells fantastic though.
That's interesting how I still haven't quite got the ratio right over there, but to see my full screen.
I like it when you zoom in.
Yeah,
So I can see all the details on his face, because there's quite a bit of detail on his face once you get closer. That wrinkle on his forehead reminds me of my dad.
Oh yeah?
Well, I have the same wrinkle. It's funny, when Mom gave birth to Angie, or the first kid, she was so paranoid, because she'd heard all these stories about people's kids getting switched in the hospital and stuff. So she gave birth to Angie, and then they take the baby away, and they bring you back the baby later after the, first bath and all that kind of stuff. And when they brought Angie back, Mom looked at her and was like, I don't know if this is my baby. And they're like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, I'm not sure. And then Angie looked up at her, and she could see the crease in Angie's forehead, which all of us Rasmussens have this crease in our forehead. And she's like, oh, never mind.
Never mind.
That's mine.
That's mine. That's funny.
Mom didn't have to worry about that with me, though, because I was the only baby not born here in Utah.
Oh, yeah?
I was born in Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
I was the only baby.
Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana.
Yeah. I was the only baby that was white in the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in that area it's predominantly black.
Oh.
Even the nurse made the joke to Mom. She was bringing the baby back, me, and she's looking down at the baby and she goes, "Ma'am, there's something wrong with this baby." And Mom's like, "What?" She says, "It's the wrong color." But little known fact, well, might be known by a lot of people. guy was born in the same hospital as the Jackson 5.
Really?
Yep. They were from Gary, Indiana. Which isn't, saying a lot because it's basically a slum. I mean, I don't know what it looks like now.
I was born in L.A.
But it was a slum then.
I was born in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Born in a suburb of LA called Fontana.
Montana. Cool.
And then my parents moved to San Francisco, to Daly City.
San Francisco. I lived there for half a year.
That's how the poop started there.
Poop.
Sometimes I go a little overboard with the cross-hatching.
Never.
Well, I think we had one person watch us for a few seconds. A few minutes there.
Are we talking about, are we doing this live?
Yeah, we're live on Twitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought we were just recording for YouTube. That's cool.
Yeah, we've been live on Twitch, so if there was somebody who wanted to chit chat, they could talk to us over there in the chat, and
could have said what?
they could have said, "Man, that's one hell of a boring book."
You guys suck.
Just kidding.
This is like watching paint dry.
Like watching paint dry. The art sucks too, dude. Yeah. You can see the time delay. That's funny.
What do you mean a time delay?
So I
It's
actually
not
had,
exactly lit.
I had the Twitch, I had the stream up over here,
Oh.
just to make sure that it was recording and everything fine, and plus
I see.
although it does show over here how many viewers, which I think I'm the viewer. I'm the one lonely viewer right now, viewing it. So I guess it does tell me. I didn't think it told me up there, but it does. I wanted to be able to see if anybody was watching. They call them lurkers. Just kind of watch for a while. When I was streaming last year, all the time, I'd have 5 or 6 people watching, and just sitting here kind of drawn, and then I'd be like, so, if anybody's out there, I'd love to chit chat, tell me where you're from, blah, 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 blah. It's all disappear. It's like, I sit there and just draw in silence. We'll have some music going or something. I put on like some techno, some free techno that I have, and that way it's not copyrighted. And that way when I upload it like to other to YouTube, it's just not. And you go watch it afterwards, it's all redded out where there's no sound at all because of copyright. If you play copyrighted music, and so I play this other stuff, so it doesn't get, but it's not as good. But I go and watch other guys, and they got people watching, and their chat's just littered with comments, and those guys just talk for hours and hours at a time because people are constantly asking questions over there, and they're just carrying on conversation. And
Yep.
I've had a couple conversations, but not very much.
I think I've watched everything that you've done. Not live.
Oh. Well, maybe not all of it,
I always
because
see it on YouTube.
yeah, there's still a lot of it on there that's not, besides 0 views. But there's some long, they're like 4-hour stretches where I was drawing for 4. There's one time I did Twitch, I did 8-hour stretch.
Jeez.
Do you want to still continue to record, or should we just...
No, I mean, I'm done reading.
You're done reading? Well, I mean, do you still want to just chit-chat like this on record, or do you want to...
How many hours have we done?
Did an hour and a half, it looks like. An hour and a half just now.
I mean, that's still fine. I mean, we don't have to go 3 hours every time.
That's cool. All right, then. Well, we'll say goodbye. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we hope you enjoyed the first 2 chapters of Shatteredtime.
The novel.
The novel, and
Versus
yeah, the graphic novel is it's the same story, but like pared down quite a bit. It's like a very linear.
No, it's not linear. It goes from the end to the beginning. It jumps around.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's like a.
Lots more action though.
I consider it like a straighter shot. So,
Kind of like this.
super fast. But, all right, thanks. Have a good time, and hopefully back. I'm gonna try to stream again, doing some artwork here in a day or two. But for
I have Saturday and Sunday off.
some more reading, yeah, Saturday or Sunday we'll do another live one of these. Don't know if we'll do some reading or not. Probably might just be chit chatting. Don't know. Next week, you know what? I might challenge Marty to this. I had this idea for a podcast, which was your top 5 movies based upon story. Your top 5 movies visually that you enjoy, that you love, and then 1 guilty pleasure.